Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe, narrated by Disney or Lucasfilm, whichever way you slice it. Legends! Now, I was going to add this to Children of the Jedi, but you know what? It deserves its own spot, okay? I didn't want to have to talk about, like, spoiler stuff at the end of the Children of the Jedi stuff when it wasn't actually Children of the Jedi. So, you know what? I'm just going to put it here. Um, I have a couple things to talk about, not a lot. Probably gonna be one of the shorter ones. But starting with, before we get to Children of the Jedi, you would have from Star Wars Tales, number 16, The Other. This is a little short. Most of Tales sucks. This one is okay. Basically, it's another one of the Dear Diary of Leia things. I think the last time we saw this was back before episode 4 chronologically, where Leia was spending her free time as a teenager throwing like water balloons and stuff at Tarkin when he would come to visit Bail because we needed that. The reason this is a step above is because this actually references some stuff from the EU, and the fact that Mon Mothma has stepped down now that after the Jedi Academy trilogy, Leia is now in charge. She is, Luke's like, I really wish you would continue your Jedi training. You could be just as powerful as me, if not more so. And she's like, but I have my responsibilities and you have yours. And there's a time where somebody was trying to, like, I guess, because it's going to be a running gag moving forward in the EU up until New Jedi Order, where the kids get kidnapped or somebody wants to kidnap the kids. So this guy's trying to, like, take the kids or whatever while she's hanging out with them at, like, the park or something. Meanwhile, you have all these Dear Diary stuff going on or whatever, which is, first off, I hate that kind of thing. Secondly, though it's written in such cursive that I can barely even read what it says. Um, but basically, she attacks the guy with the Jedi training she does have, and she's super angry because she went Mama Bear. They're attacking her kids, and she could see in the reflection of the guy's like armor and stuff. She looked scarier than Abeloth in that like little picture they had, and she's like, "Oh, I detested the dark side. I can never allow myself to become a full Jedi." That will be dropped after New Jedi Order. She will become a full Jedi. She will completely embrace that, but she kind of has to because of the Vong War kind of does that too. But also with all the politics that go on in New Jedi Order, she's just like, you know what, frick it, I'm done. I'm gonna be a Jedi now. You all have fun. I've done it. I did it for like 20 years. I'm good now. Leave me alone. But yeah, it's okay. It's better than the other one where she's throwing water balloons at Tarkin or whatever. So step up. Is it necessary? No. It's a fine little story though if you want it. Up next, I forgot to do this like way earlier. Okay, you should probably read this way earlier, but it doesn't really have a time placement. You can technically place it anywhere, here because Boba Fett doesn't really do a lot in this era, which is one of the reasons I dislike Boba Fett because his character development stops. There is no character development. He remains consistently the same up until New Jedi Order. And on beyond, I know some people, dislike post New Jedi Order, but Boba Fett actually has growth and development and does something outside of being a bounty hunter. But that's all he really is in this era. That's what he was during the OT. That's what he is here. Nothing really changes with him. But I forgot to mention this short story, so I just want to mention it here. No Disintegrations, please, is a wonderful, wonderful, one of the better Boba Fett stories out there. Do recommend that one. Okay, I don't have too much to say about it. I want you to read it. I don't want to spoil anything about it, but you should read it. Up next, we have from Adventure Journal number 14 from the file of Corellia Antilles. I don't know. I don't have too much to say here. Basically, you have like this historian slash archaeologist, I forget, um, who's talking about a lot of the lore of the Star Wars expanded universe. Like with Korriban and the ancient Sith from the Tales of the Jedi and stuff. It really dives into that. It's not really a story. It's kind of more of like what it sounds like Supernatural Encounters will be, which will be like an historian going through super crazy stuff. Except that this isn't super crazy. It's just the history that we would have already known about. But chronologically, it'd be about, I guess, here. So you could take that or leave that. I mean, you don't really need this, but it's something. Um, actually, I'm gonna do this one last. So before we get to that one, up next we have a video game or a video game expansion to Jedi Knight 2 or to Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight, which is Jedi Knight Mystery of the Sith or Mysteries of the Sith. Um, I hear for a lot of people when they played on their computer, it's kind of hard to actually play the cutscenes. Like the cutscenes will just skip for some reason. I don't know if that applies to everybody, but if you can't find the cutscenes, you can find them online. They look pretty bad though because they're in-game cutscenes, and it still looks like Dark Forces 2, so it does not look pretty to look at. There's no live action cutscenes like there was in Jedi Knight 2 or in Dark Forces 2, so you know. But this, I guess, could possibly be before Jedi Academy. I place it after. You could probably kind of put it wherever you want. The only thing that puts a damper on where I placed it is that Mon Mothma is giving Mara orders, which she theoretically could still be helping out, but she retired, so like why would the government be listening to her? But I mean her voice is still have a lot of weight. So you could either place this before the Jedi Academy trilogy begins or place it after. I'm placing it after. It works okay. Um, but Mara Jade is training with Kyle Katarn to enhance her Jedi abilities because if this is before she went to the Jedi Academy trilogy, or this is after where she decided she didn't want to stay training at the academy, but still wanted to learn. So she does a couple things, learning from Kyle Katarn. Kyle Katarn gets sent on a mission. Uh, Mara just basically does a whole bunch of missions on her own for a bit, stopping like these, crime lords or whatever, up until she hears about, Kyle Katarn not coming back from whatever, and he was on Dromon Kos, which is actually, thanks to SWOTOR, a super important location because that's kind of where Vitiate hung out all the way during the Old Republic. But anyway, so he gets influenced by the dark side because the Sith temple is so filled to the brim with dark side that it corrupts him, which I know people are going to backlash on, or some people will, because there's this whole other debate, which is a whole separate thing for even understanding certain stories in context will completely change how you view certain things within this lore of Star Wars, which, like, for example, the book Traitor, depending on how you view it, can vastly change how you view that book depending on certain ideologies and beliefs within that book. That being said, I've made my case several times that I think the dark side actually is a thing that affects you. It is not so simple as you making a choice. It is something that actively can change your perception, change the way you view things, change your mind. It doesn't uh, control you like a puppet, but it does heavily influence you. You know, it's like if you have like a loud siren noise, going right up against your ear, you're probably gonna go like this, right? Because it's loud and you don't know what else to do. Like you can't break it, but it's constantly there. Eventually that would drive you a little insane, right? Now some people argue that it doesn't actually do anything; it's entirely your choice. Don't agree. I don't think the evidence of the universe supports that theory or that claim. It's very clear that the dark side can influence you and can do stuff to you. Again, when you look at Anakin Skywalker, he the sole reason he fell was to save Padme. And by the end of the film, by the third book, third movie, whatever, what does he do? He chokes her. The very woman he did all this for, and he chokes her because the dark side corrupts. Um, anyway, regardless, Kyle Katarn is being influenced by the dark side. He is now evil and must be stopped. Now, of course, he wins. He actually beats Mara, which I thought was kind of fun. That Mara couldn't beat Kyle. But Kyle can't go through with killing her. And so he repents, and all is well, and they leave. This is something that Kyle has struggled with quite a bit, because, Dark Forces 2, when he was going up against Jarek, that was more personal because that was his, his dad that was murdered by him. And so he struggled with the dark side in that game. Of course, if you do the canon ending, then you got the light side ending, so he did not succumb to his anger. And then if you look here, again, this was less personal, but it was still like this external spiritual thing that quickly corrupted his mind. And we'll get other examples of this in Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast. I think he's pretty well rounded by the time of Jedi Academy, the video game, not the novels. But yeah, so it's okay. It's a little thing, but it's cool to see Mara with Kyle and everything, and see Kyle's continued struggle with the dark side. In fact, after this, we won't see him be considered a practicing Jedi or anything. He will still be a smuggler by the next game. It isn't until, you know, uh, one of Luke's ex students steals Jan Ors that he will need to come to the rescue. But that's down the line. But anyway, that's a pretty decent little thing, and it'd be around here. Last but not least, thing that ultimately made me decide to make this a separate video. Otherwise, I would have just included this before Children of Jedi. Is you can find this was originally like an adventure journal or an Insider. I don't remember, but you could easily obtain this by buying Tales from the New Republic for like $4.99 on Kindle. Simple tricks. What do I say without spoilers? This may be my favorite short story that the Expanded Universe has ever released. A Jedi undercover as Fen. Not as Fen. I forget what his name was. But the Jedi is undercover. There's a con woman with her partner who are tricking people into thinking that they are Jedi and are, swindling people. However, this criminal group kidnaps her buddy. And since the Jedi has heard rumors about this, potential Jedi, he goes to help this girl named Fen recover her friend. Along the way, truths are revealed, and it's, to me, very emotionally compelling. It's a really great character piece on a certain character, on this particular Jedi. I'll say that much. I can't do it justice, but I think out of all the short stories I've ever talked about for the Star Wars Expanded Universe, as long as you've read, like, up to the Jedi Academy trilogy, you should read this. You should read this. Like, most of the time I say, like, you can read it if you want. It's not necessary. I think it is. I think this is necessary, and I think it's absolutely essential that you read this. I think you are doing yourself a disservice if you don't read this short story. Maybe I'm hyping it up too much, but I absolutely love it. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it, guys. Up next, I will be doing a full review of the novel Children of the Jedi. As I said, originally, this was all going to be before I talked about Children of the Jedi, but I decided to make it its own video because of this particular short story in of itself, to me, being worth discussing in a single video. So, that's pretty much it. If you don't want spoilers, now's the time to go. But those are my thoughts. And if you don't care, stick around. Alright? Had your warning. If you're still here, it's your fault. Who is the Jedi in question that's in hiding? Well, it's Kip Durin. My favorite Jedi outside of the Skywalkers and Solos. This story, man, gives so much to Kip. In this story, you could see the pain and the remorse, even though it's not entirely his fault, because Exar Kun was an influence on him. But you could feel that remorse and that regret over what he did. And it's something he lives with every single day, all the way up until Fate of the Jedi and beyond. He still lives with that. Every waking moment is a moment where he thinks about what he's done. He's called the Butcher by many in the galaxy. Despite killing an Imperial world, but whatever. Still, everything about this little short story, between his interactions and Fen, who is a great character in and of themselves, and is just this little short character for this short story, but it works so well, and there's such character growth for Kip, and it's just so good to see. I love Kip so much, and this short story, I don't know, it means a lot to me. I like this one a ton, because Kip's story, everything after Jedi Academy trilogy with him, it may not be emphasized in every story, because all the New Jedi Order isn't really about him. Legacy of the Force isn't about him. Fate of the Jedi isn't about him, but he's always around. You know, some stories focus on him more than others, but he's always around. And his entire life purpose is atonement. You know, it's just atonement for his sins, even though it's not entirely his fault. I don't know how anybody can dislike Kip. Kip is so good. Frick Corrin for complaining. You don't know anything, Corrin. Shut your damn mouth, you stupid little loser, perfect boy who knows everything. Shut up. Kip Durin is amazing. He's amazing. I love him, and he's usually always right. 9 times out of 10. Kip Durin for the win. The Butcher. My God, like imagine, like half the galaxy knowing you as the Butcher. This poor guy. And he would rather be dead. He said so, or locked up. But Luke Skywalker chose for him to remain a Jedi. And because he did that, he feels the responsibility and the weight to make sure that means something, to atone for his sins and his actions. And I love that about him. I love Kip. And this story is the best short story in the Star Wars Expanding Universe. I'm putting my foot down. I don't care what you say. I'm right. You're wrong. Go fall in love with Kip, and you'll know how I feel. Ugh. Anyway, it's really good. I really, really recommend this one. Please, if you read Jedi Academy Trilogy, read this short story. It's well worth your time. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up, sharing episode a ton. And remember, when people bash on the Jedi Academy Trilogy, just remember that Kip Durin exists now thanks to that trilogy. Amen. Thank you, Kevin J. Anderson. Until next time, guys, may the Force be with you.